My friends, for decades, the Middle East has been synonymous with conflict and crisis. But we are hopeful that a newfound spirit of collaboration can and make our region an exemplar of resilience and integration. Though politics may sometimes fail our world, one absolute remains. Always put people first. To keep hope alive for all peoples means rising above politics to ensure every individual's prosperity. Such efforts will be fruitless if they are exclusionary. Inclusion of the Palestinian people in regional economic projects should be an integral part of our efforts. In the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, peace continues to be elusive. Neither war nor diplomacy has held the answer to this historic tragedy. It is the people themselves, not politics and politicians, who will have to come together and push their leaders to resolve this. What would our world look like now if the conflict had been settled long ago? If walls had never gone up and people had been allowed to build bridges of cooperation instead? What if extremists had never been able to exploit the injustices of occupation? How many generations of youth could have grown up in the optimism of peace and progress? As we continue our efforts to achieve peace, we must not abandon refugees. This year, the General Assembly will vote on renewing UNRWA's mandate. The international community should send a strong message of support for the rights of Palestinian refugees, ensuring that Palestinian refugee children have schools to go to and access to appropriate medical care. My dear friends, a founding UN principle is the right to self-determination for all peoples. The Palestinian people, with their resilient national identity, cannot be denied this right. And the road forward is the two-state solution, in accordance with UN resolutions, a sovereign, viable, and independent Palestinian state on the 4th of June 1967 lines, with East Jerusalem as its capital, living side by side with Israel in peace.
Israel's economic and military strength allows us to protect ourselves, but it also allows us something else: to strive for peace with the entire Arab world and with our closest neighbors, the Palestinians. An agreement with the Palestinians based on the two states for two people is the right thing for Israel's security, for Israel's economy, and for the future of our children. Peace is not a compromise. It is the most courageous decision we can make. Peace is not weakness. It embodies within it the entire might of human spirit. War is a surrender to all that is bad within us. Peace is the victory of all that is good. Despite all the obstacles, still today, a large majority of Israelis support the vision of the two-state solution. I am one of them. We have only one condition: that the future Palestinian state will be a peaceful one, that it will not become another terror base from which to threaten the well-being and the very existence of Israel, that we will have the ability to protect the security of all the citizens of Israel at all times.
Turning to Jerusalem, where the Parliamentary Review Committee, which began deliberations on the government's planned reform for the judiciary today, faced an unruly start as shouting matches quickly ensued at the get-go with members of the opposition repeatedly shouting shame while banging on the tables. In tandem, outside the Israeli parliament, or Knesset in Hebrew, tens of thousands of Israelis gathered to protest the government's intentions to enact reform to the judiciary, concerned that the move would endanger Israel's democratic system.
I came with my children to demonstrate for democracy. We all in a strike. We plan to come. We plan to go to Jerusalem afterward and take a stand and be clear that we won't stand for changing the democracy in Israel.
The protest was joined by leaders of Israel's opposition, including, among others, former Defense Minister Benny Gantz and opposition leader Yair Lapid, who proclaimed to the public that the hundreds of thousands of Israelis protesting against the government's plan were causing the incumbent leadership in Jerusalem to fear the consequences to their actions.
הם מעמידים פנים שהם לא שומעים, והם מעמידים פנים שהם לא מפחדים, אבל הם שומעים והם מפחדים. אנחנו לא נסתגר בבתים כשהם מנסים להפוך את מדינת ישראל לדיקטטורה חשוכה ולסתום לנו את הפה. לא יסתמו לנו את הפה. יגיע היום וכל אחד ואחת מהאנשים והנשים שנמצאים כאן היום בחוץ ברחוב יוכל להגיד לילדיו, ביום שבו מדינת ישראל הייתה צריכה אותי יותר מכל, הייתי שם. הפסדתי קרבות אבל לא את המלחמה, לא שתקתי, הם שמעו את קולי.
It is important to know that today's protests in Jerusalem, which caused many disruptions in the city and coincided with many businesses throughout the country being closed for the day, follows a separate mega protest that was held on Saturday night in Tel Aviv, in which, according to the organizers, approximately 250,000 Israelis flocked to the central city. Meanwhile, on Sunday evening, Israeli President Yitzhak Herzog floated the idea of judicial compromise for the purpose of preventing, according to him, a constitutional collapse, which he insisted would occur if the reform in its present form would be adopted.
אני סבור כי מכלול חלקי הרפורמה במתכונתה הנוכחית מעלים חשש עמוק מפוטנציאל ההשפעה שלהם לרעה על יסודותיה הדמוקרטיים של מדינת ישראל. אנחנו כבר מזמן לא בוויכוח פוליטי, אלא על סף קריסה חוקתית וחברתית. אני מרגיש, כולנו מרגישים, שאנחנו נמצאים רגע לפני התנגשות, ואפילו התנגשות אלימה. רפורמה היא גם בסיס לשינוי מבורך, לצמיחה, להתאמה למציאות.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to the rise of the hate-filled rhetoric and threats of public rebellion. In contrast to claims by the Israeli opposition, Netanyahu highlighted that his government won the election on a ticket which highlighted its intentions to enact judicial reform.
אני מבקש לבקר כאן הבוקר בחריפות את הקריאות להפרת חוק, למרי אזרחי, לפגיעה מכוונת במשק ואפילו לשימוש בנשק מצד מי שמתנגדים למדיניות הממשלה. הממשלה קיבלה את אמון העם בבחירות דמוקרטיות. היא קיבלה מנדט ברור מאזרחי ישראל, ואיש כאן אינו יכול לערער זאת. איש אינו מערער גם על הזכות להפגין, אבל אי אפשר ואסור לקרוא לאלימות, לפעול באלימות, לקרוא למרי אזרחי, לכפות שביתה על רבים שאינם רוצים זאת.
The Israeli premier further underscored the need to remain civilized in efforts to protect the state of Israel and to engage in dialogue that would ultimately bring about the desired change in a manner that befits a democracy.
אני סמוך ובטוח שרוב עצום של אזרחי ישראל, בין אם הם תומכי הרפורמה או מתנגדיה, מתנגד לקיצוניות הזו ולא יאפשר למדינה להידרדר לאנרכיה. אני קורא לכולם להנמיך את הלהבות ולהיכנס לשיח ענייני. יש לנו מדינה אחת ויחד נשמור עליה.